Boom, boom, boom. Good show, everybody. What should we call it?
Well, the far and away vote getter right now is Swift Justice, which was submitted by Christmas. Let's see. We've got Down with Swift, Up with Objective-C. Apple's new policy is tailor-made. Apple swiftly changes. A swift kick to the apples, which I think really might be my favorite. Out of Pepper. The Tailor-Nator.
Mm.
I know,
That
I really
sounds
like
bad.
I know. And Apple defeats the nothing, paid by Apple.
Paid by Apple. Oh, Swift defeats the nothing.
Yeah, Swift defeats the nothing, paid by Apple. I don't quite know what the last part means, but I do like Taylor Swift defeats the nothing.
Swift kick to the apples.
I really like that one.
I like Swift Justice. Has a very Chuck Norris feel to it.
Yep.
It's the leader.
It's the leader.
Short and punchy.
Someone had a really great one in the chat room that they didn't submit as a title, but it was so good. Where was it?
By the way, Tom, have you seen Jurassic World yet?
Yes, I have.
Do you want to talk about it next week? Or this coming weekend, possibly?
Yeah, sure.
I'll send you an email.
Yeah, I have. Well, Sunday I can't. Saturday I could. Or next week I don't have Sword and Laser, so I've got a little more of my evening time available, although that's bad for you, probably.
As long as it's not too late.
Yeah, maybe like Monday morning, though, could work. I don't know. Yeah, just email me and we'll figure it out.
I'll send you an email, yeah.
Cool.
Because I'm looking for a second person to join me. Or a third, rather. So.
Okay, yeah. I liked it.
Yeah. Not the best in the series, but
no,
good.
Not
enough.
the best movie I've ever seen.
No.
But
You liked it, even though it was kind of mediocre.
No.
Not
that.
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm just basing this off your reaction or what I'm hearing
saying
so far.
that it's not like when I saw Mad Max, where I was like stunned. I just really, I couldn't, I had a good time watching it.
Right. It's not the summer blockbuster we hoped for, but it's probably going to be one of the top 5 summer movies.
If you go into it looking for like an experience, you're not going to get that. No. I knew everything that was happening, but it was really paced well, and it was enjoyable. Chris Pratt was enjoyable. The dinosaurs look good. I don't know. I don't want to do the Psychon episode before we do it, though. But
no. I'm just trying to get some people for the next couple of weeks and months. Scott is signed up for Civil War next year. Brian is going to be with me.
Wow, that's advanced.
Yeah. We try to plan.
Who's got Star Wars?
Nobody yet.
You should have a death match, like a podcasting fight to the death to figure out who gets to talk about Star Wars.
We had a thing back on Psychon. This is 2 years back. We had something called the Death Match of Death and More Death, where we had 64 characters from geek culture, everything from Yoda to Wolverine to Fu Manchu and so on.
Wow.
And my 2 co-hosts would randomly pick one every single week, and they would argue which one of them would win in a fight, and then the audience would vote. And then it was basically a ladder match, and Wolverine won at the end. He was the final survivor, the 64.
Adamantium claws, man.
Yep, it was him versus Gandalf in the final fight.
Yeah, but it's really not his adamantium. It's the fact that he has that mutant health.
Yeah, the regeneration, right?
Yeah,
sure.
That can't kill him.
Doesn't hurt.
Right. And also,
you wouldn't take a staff from an old man, though, would you, Roger?
It wouldn't matter.
Magneto was already out of the fight before we got there, so...
Not to kick up a thing. But what's stronger, adamantium or vibranium?
So that's
or
one of those.
unobtainium?
That's one of those things that gets really muddied in the Marvel universe, depending on which book you read. Supposedly, vibranium, that the stuff that the Cap shield's made of, is like almost impenetrable. But I don't. It's weird. It's I don't know. I've never seen one where Wolverine cuts through the shield yet.
No. What I remember is vibranium is more durable, but adamantium is harder.
Which just sounds like a lot of...
More durable.
Sounds like semantics to say from Marvel writers so they wouldn't
Yeah.
get caught up in a weird conflict of like, oh no, you totally wrote it this way, and now you screwed it up.
But yes, adamantium can cut through vibranium, but vibranium can shatter adamantium. So it's, rock versus scissors versus paper.
Don't drink, don't smoke.
Big question is, what happens if Wolverine tries to cut Thor's hammer?
Yeah, but see, that's magic. Like, no one else... Wait, who's the only other person to be able to pick up Thor's hammer besides Thor?
Everybody else.
Captain America nudged it.
I thought if you picked up Thor's hammer, you became Thor.
Well, yeah, depending on the requirements of the plot at the time. And Storm has picked it up.
The chat room says that Cap's shield in the comics is adamantium vibranium alloy.
What?
They changed that. They totally changed it. Originally, it was originally vibranium. Whatever. That's one reason I don't read Marvel anymore.
It's a new space age alloy.
Marvel and DC. Oh,
I believe it's made out of retcon.
Why don't we just make it out of? Why don't we make it out of the MacGuffin?
Yeah.
Jerks.
It's a retcon MacGuffin alloy.
I refuse to read any DC or Marvel book anymore.
Becky, you should have me on your pop culture shows. I can pop culture it up with the best of them.
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually thinking of reviving the Deathmatch of Death and More Death at some point, and just have a rotating schedule weekly where two people come in and they get a randomly assigned superhero or supervillain.
Cool.
You could have seasons. You could play like a 20-game season and then have playoffs at the end.
Sure.
It
all depends on how big your starting seed is. I mean, if you've got 32 characters, then it's 16 weeks just to narrow it down to 16, and then another 8 weeks to narrow it down to 8, and so on.
Go 64. Why not?
Yeah, just go full hog.
Do it forever.
Yeah, a 2-year run.
The only... What was it? So I think the best kind of matchup I've ever read about, and believe it or not, it was Wizard Magazine, is where, remember Gleek from the Wonder Twins monkey?
Yes.
Faces off after, who's the monkey from Space Ghost, the one with Jan and Jace?
Oh, right.
So those two simians faced off in a fight.
Back.
Was it?
I think so.
I thought that was the
insect. No, wait. No.
Bleep? Not Bleep.
Gleep?
Gleep. Them and their monkey.
Blip the monkey.
Chim Chim was from Speed Racer.
Chim was from Speed Racer. No, there's Gleek's from Super Friends. Ah, dang it.
I think it's Blip the monkey.
Blip. Yeah, Blip. Blip and Gleek. That was the best one.
Goucham says, like an Iron Chef of superhero SmackDown. What if you did an Iron Chef of... That's horrible. I'm not going to say that. Had to do with monkeys. That's all.
Nope. You can read all the emails.
No, after I read about that dog meat festival in China,
those pictures still disturb me.
It's really disturbing.
Really disturbing.
Yep.
Like, even if I'm not a pet guy, and Tom can attest to that, and I'm not a pet guy at all.
Says the guy who looked at my dog once and said 4 drumsticks.
He grabbed her paws and said 4 drumsticks.
That's actually true. I was trying to make it sound a little better.
But
it was all in good fun.
I think it's because they're still alive. I don't want to go into it. Very disturbing. Very disturbing.
It was one of the top stories on the BBC this morning. I've been hearing about it all weekend from my wife because Eileen, she's a big dog lover, so she finds all these horrible dog stories all the time. She just seeks them out.
Sounds like a show.
Yeah, but then it was like right up there next to negotiations over the Greek debt.
Good fun.
It's the first day in a while that I've preferred to read about negotiations over the Greek debt.
Actually, today was a good day to start because it was actually quite nice. The Swedish general stock index went up 2.83% after a lot of concerns these past 2 weeks.
Is that a solstice bump?
Something on those lines.
Yeah.
The euphoria of like endless summers or endless days of summer.
Something on those lines, yeah.
Like,
the Swedish flag is now 109 years old.
Wow.
Happy birthday, flag.
A very intricate designed flag, I might add.
Right. Blue with a yellow cross.
So I guess they didn't come to a deal yet, but there are positive steps, I take it.
They put a proposal out. They said, we didn't have time to look at it yet, which is a negotiating tactic.
I'm sure a bunch of people are crapping their.
Oh, Swift
drawers.
Justice was the title, by the way.
Yes.
Showbot Reminder
Yeah.
was just asking. Thought that
Still
was
sounds
obvious,
like a
but I
Chuck
guess
Norris
we didn't
movie.
actually say it.
Swift Justice, starring Chuck Norris and Taylor Swift.
Yep. I think Taylor gets first billing.
It could be like Taylor Swift is like his granddaughter, and she has to rescue him, and she has to like relearn all his roundhouse kicks and whatever else that Chuck Norris does.
He got the legs for it.
Swift Justice was a UPN TV series that aired for 4 months in 1996, starring James McCaffrey as a former NYPD detective and Navy SEAL, getting kicked off the force, handles the cases the police can't by becoming a private detective.
Of course.
Isn't that kind of a variation on the Equalizer?
Isn't that kind of a variation on every cop/detective television
Cop
series up until
slash PI.
1996?
Yeah.
Actually,
Had it been done today, he wouldn't be a former detective. He would be a former psychic or a former,
Yeah.
paleontologist or something.
I will confess the best version of that, though, is the A-Team.
Sure.
Because it's an ensemble cast. The rest are usually just solo. But when you have an ensemble, it tends to make it a little more interesting.
Well, it makes it more satisfying when your plan comes together.
Yes. And actually, you know what? That was like the best. So Knight Rider had Kit, and Kit would save the day. Airwolf had the helicopter. But A-Team had Let's Build the Thing. And it was like the first DIY show as a kid I ever watched, even before This Old House.
Before MacGyver.
Even before MacGyver. It's like, let's DIY ourselves some explosives using coffee cans, gunpowder, and some other stuff, and we'll tape it together. Duct tape.
Joss Whedon should reboot the A-Team.
Well, the last reboot was very disappointing.
Yeah.
Had Bradley Cooper in it, was that right?
Yep.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper, but they also had Liam Neeson as George Papard's character.
Yeah.
And Charlton Copley. I mean, you can never go wrong with Charlton Copley. He was Murdoch.
And then he was what's his name in what's the one with the South African aliens?
District 9?
District 9.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon should reboot Quantum Leap.
No, let it rest.
No. I want Quantum Leap. More.
You say that and you see it's like, I don't need this.
I'm in a woman's body.
I want a today version of it. I think what you're reacting to is the storytelling level of sophistication of the late 80s, early 90s, and what I would tell you is that many great concepts from those eras have been successfully rebooted into much more sophisticated allegories of our time, and I think it's not the right decade, but a One Battlestar Galactica jumps to mind. You're making a distinction without a difference. I'm telling you that the storytelling level of sophistication in the 70s and the 80s was very good for its time. It was very good, sophisticated time travel storytelling, but it could certainly use a reboot today with all the complex issues that television is able to capture.
If you're going to reboot Time Traveler's Mood, you need to reboot Time Train. All
Or
right?
Voyagers.
I want
How about Voyagers?
To have a series about a time traveler who goes back in time and reboots television series the first time they air.
Isn't that Netflix?
I'm pretty sure the guys who run Google are time travelers.
I actually, the more I think about that stupid joke, the more I like this idea. You could have a different show every week.
I like it.
You mean like an anthology show, like Amazing
and
Stories?
You're rebooting those shows as their pilots are being produced.
Mm-hmm.
It's somebody who's seen the whole run and like comes in and tries to correct all the mistakes.
Right.
No, you can't. You know what? That would make for a very, I don't know. You can't have anything too perfect.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Can he really change
No, he can't.
the course of the show?
That's the lesson. That's what Scott Bakula learned until he quantum leaped into Enterprise. And then
Another favorite show of mine.
Which also had time travel.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't have an old guy as a hologram in Ziggy.
There's a good tie-in episode where we find out that what was his name?
Sam
Bakula or Sam Beckett?
No, not Sam. Captain Archer. The Captain Archer actually got leaped into.
That would be great. I think that would be awesome.
Agreed.
That's one thing I would get behind. Let's kickstart it.
Star Trek Quantum Leap, directed by Damon Lindelof.
And
it's all because of Q.
Yes.
Of course.
Or the weird guy from Enterprise who nobody liked. I liked him. The guy who was served as on Enterprise, the guy who was like the future guide, who was
yeah,
we
but he was
time again.
He was only
from
like
Section 37?
episodes.
Yeah.
One of them he died.
Yeah, they finally killed him off because his character just kept coming in and going, Deus Ex Machina, again!
You know, it's interesting that Q ended up being what the holodeck was used for, like the longest time in The Next Generation. He was just a plot vehicle to, like, hey, let's do something that's totally out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understood, if you get locked in the holodeck, isn't there like an emergency push button that just says, okay, turn everything off?
There is, but it was malfunctioning, Roger. We tried pushing it and it didn't work. Something is wrong.
I mean, if you had a carnival ride that couldn't like have an emergency shut, people would like, okay, no one goes to this thing ever again until we fix it.
Yeah, the Enterprise would be in space dock for.
And then like if the holodeck's so amazing, why don't they just kidnap people they need to? Like they're doing a diplomatic mission or whatever, they just throw them in there and they give them some weird fantasy, like Fantasy Island, and they learn about they learn their lesson and they come out all like good.
Prime Directive.
That's a spin-off series. That's my Star Trek spin-off series.
Now we've produced several series for you. Dear Hollywood, please take these ideas and make them realities, and then send us checks.
Woohoo!
And I am out of the post.
I will go in the post.
Thank you, everyone. Stay
Thank
tuned
you.
for Cord Killers later on DiamondClub.tv, immediately following this episode of Rebooting Past Series.